Conceptions of happiness are created when the basic contents immanent to the happiness field are incorporated into theories and doctrines of happiness, these two being mutually intertwined. The interweaving between theories and doctrines of happiness gives rise to what we will call conceptions of happiness. Gustavo Bueno, The Happiness Delusion, page 49. Basically, a particular conception of happiness is the ideological, mythological, or philosophical system that involves the interweaving of a theory and a doctrine of happiness. Global conceptions of happiness imply an intertwining of ideas, time, nature, God, man, that overflow the immanence of the field. If we took the idea of happiness as a criterion, we could classify conceptions of the world into two major rubrics: happiness-related systems and ahappiness-related systems, which is the idea that happiness does not occupy a major place in the system, be it positive or negative. However, we could also talk about certain systems in which the idea of happiness would not have its own place. In the latter, the idea of happiness could perhaps be conceived as a psychological quality or as a mood, but without any greater relevance to the system as a whole. To understand the effective meaning that theories and doctrines of happiness and their interweaving might have, it is necessary to have a coordinate system linked to a certain conception of the universe. Now, such a conception of the universe must involve the distinction between different phenomenal fields, including those in which phenomena of happiness do not appear and cannot appear. Otherwise, if only one field existed, there would be no possibility of delimiting a given immanent field. It would be impossible to distinguish the boundaries of the field of happiness from its surroundings. Consequently, we must assume that the distinction between theories and doctrines is established from a conception of happiness that in turn maintains the distinction between some given phenomenal fields and others, with which then we find a great variety of conceptions of happiness. A conception of happiness that is established from the coordinates of philosophical materialism is a pluralistic, non-harmonistic conception that does not pretend to be neutral before certain supposed entities admitted from other conceptions. In this sense, philosophical materialism differs from and is in opposition to the doxographic perspective, which claims an otherwise apparent neutrality. Consequently, the rubric of the 12 conceptions of happiness that we propose here must be understood from these criteria, which already imply taking sides in a very precise sense. Its dialectical nerve implies precisely that the models that are established in it maintain relations of contrariety and contradiction with each other, mutually denying each other. That is, in no way can the different conceptions of happiness be equalized by projecting them on the same plane, without entering into contradictions that concern the same phenomenal field. Hence, doxographic neutrality is an imposture. Taking into account the tripartite classification of theories of happiness, according to which we have established theories that subordinate unhappiness to happiness, theories that reduce happiness to unhappiness, and theories that do not use the scheme of subordination, we will talk about three classes of theories of happiness: descending, ascending, and neutral. Likewise, we put forward 4 types of doctrines of happiness: assertive spiritualism, exclusive spiritualism, monist materialism, and pluralist materialism. Now, since theories and doctrines of happiness are interwoven in conceptions of happiness as their theoretical and doctrinal moments, we obtain a matrix resulting from the intersection between classes of theories and classes of doctrines. Thus, we find an exhaustive system of 12 generic models of conceptions of happiness. it will be understood that these generic models can be modulated according to different versions. Finally, it should be emphasized that such models cannot be thought of independently of each other, insofar as each supposes a dialectical alternative that denies the other models in some sense, and therefore the table itself must be considered as a representation of the battlefield of happiness.